to look at some sound editing using the program Audition, starting with noise reduction and then working a little bit with some creative uses of the filters. So we've got a folder of sound clips for the demo, and I'm going to take the first four: the noise sound copy, the seagull, the loon, and the basketball bounce, and then drop them in there. And here we're in Audition in the editor, and we're going to start with the multi-track, and we're going to call this noise reduction. And we're going to take this clip on noise reduction and drop it in there. And we'll just go OK, because that will create more or less the sound that we want. And then we're going to go into waveform. And just what we're going to do is we're going to take out the background noise, which is wind, out of this file. I'm first going to let you listen to it and then show you the process for eliminating the background noise. So here's the first.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
There we go. That's what we're going to be taking the background sound out of. So what you need to do is right at this beginning part, you can see that there's no voice. There's just this background sound. So what you need to do is to highlight that section as a sample of the type of noise that you want to reduce. And then you go up to Effects, Noise Reduction and Restoration. It'll be Capture, Noise Print, or it is Shift P. And then the other one we're going to need is Noise Reduction Process, Shift Command P. So just remember those two key commands. Okay, so this is the first one that'll happen, Capture Noise Print. It says don't show again, but I leave it open just to know it's working. And then I go OK. So that has captured this little piece of noise right here, that background noise. And now I'm going to expand this and just take out the sound, the noise out of this portion here. So I'll do Command Shift P, and this graph here comes up. Now what you need to do is go to Custom, the presets, and go to Default. And then you'll see on this graph here, you're going to see three bands. One is the red, that's the low. We don't have to worry about that. And then you've got this green band, that's the threshold. And you have the yellow band, that's the high. And what you need to do is, first of all, you can decide how much noise you want to take out with these. And you could do it around the middle. The higher you do, the more noise you take out, but also at the same time, it takes out a lot of the sound. So you don't want to take too much of it out. And then on this blue line here, you got to put some points and then move it up and down. And as you see, you move these points up and down, the yellow and the green band come together. And what you want to do is, as much as possible on this timeline, you want to align them. And the better you can align them, the better sound reduction you'll do. Okay, that's not perfect, but you get the idea. You can spend a little bit more time tooling around on this. And then you can experiment on your own on working on this spectral decay rate, the precision factor, the smoothing. Those are all parameters that are variables. And then you go Apply. And then if you look at here, you're going to see as soon as you hit Apply, a lot of the background is going to disappear. And then we'll play that section for you.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
Now, if you compare it to what was there previously, we'll just undo it, and you can hear what it sounded like previously.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
And then I'll just redo it. And you can hear the difference again.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
Now, you're going to hear that as you play through it. There's a little bit of reverb going on. A little bit of an echo, and you can work to reduce that. Listen again.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month.
Now, the echoes tend to be a little bit in the higher register, so there's a couple of things you can do here. I'm going to capture all of it here. Now, what you could do is go into Effects and go to Filter and EQ and FFT Filter, which gives you kind of a graphic that you can work with. And once again, you want to go to Default, Start Fresh. And what this does is you can raise or lower the lower register sounds, like the lower frequency and the higher frequency. And so what we're going to want to do here is get a little bit rid of the higher frequency. And so you can take these and you can lower the decibel of the higher frequency. Now I'm going to overdo it here so you can hear what happens. And you'll see you might just take away a little bit too much, but I'll allow that to happen at first and then raise up a little bit the lower frequencies. And then we'll redo it. So watch what happens when I click Apply, and then we'll listen to it. So you can see a lot of the higher end disappeared, and you can listen to what happens.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
So it doesn't sound bad. You've got rid of some of the echo, but just a little bit too much of the sound has disappeared. So I'm going to undo that. Just Command Z. And then go back into the... and raise these a little bit so it doesn't quite disappear, the higher registers. But it'll still filter some of it out. And you can see a little bit less reduction there. And now we can listen through it.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
So that sounds a little bit better. Now what we can do is get rid of a little bit of the reverb. It won't be too much, but you'll hear a slight difference here. So listen through it again.
And boost BT revenues.
And so now what we do is, and remember always that anytime you want to affect a certain portion of the timeline, always highlight it. Otherwise, the effects won't be applied to anything. So you go into Effects, Reverb, and then just Reverb. And once again, you want to go to Default. And what I'm going to do is just simply, I'm going to reduce everything to 0. Now you can play around a lot more with this if you like, except for the output level. If you reduce everything to 0, you won't hear anything at all. And we want it to be fairly dry. And then we'll just apply it, and there'll be a slight difference here. And now we can listen to it once more.
And boost BT revenues. BT reported 6-month pre-tax profits.
There you go. Now you can play around a lot more. There's a number of, if we go into effects here, different reverb applications, and it's actually worth exploring a number of these. You can also really increase the reverb if you like, and maybe we'll try that. We're going to use a different soundtrack to try the reverb, and what I'd like to do is use the basketball bounce. So we'll drop that onto here, and we're going to open the waveform again just so you can see what happens to this sound, and we're going to highlight the entire thing so you can just listen to it. Now we're going to highlight the entire clip. And we're going to go into Effects, Reverb, Full Reverb. And once again, we want to go to a default. And then you'll see there's a number of different output levels here. And we want to go to full 500% reverb, and we'll go to full reflections, and we'll put all of these on full. The dimension, everything, because you can work here, for example, with the room size, what kind of echo you want. In the dimension, we'll make it, put everything up there. And then when we apply, you'll get a very different looking timeline there. And now we can listen to it. So we're going to change a little bit these parameters, and you'll hear that the sound will be a little bit different. And again, I encourage you to experiment a lot with these. Knock the room size down and everything like that so you can figure out what echo you want. And then we will apply that. And now you can hear the difference. Now we're going to do two more, once with a seagull and once with a loon. And from these you'll get, again, quite a different sound. So first we'll do the seagull because it has a really nice waveform. And I just want a little bit of it. This should be good enough. And again, you can just listen to it. And then we will go into waveform again. You can see those beautiful waveforms of the seagull and highlight it. And then I think we'll go into simple reverb. And once again, go into default. And just raise these up a little bit. And I think we want it a little bit wet. Okay, and then you'll get a really nice kind of waveform in here. So it really smears it out, and we'll give it a listen. So you can see how you could use this to create really interesting sound effects. And now we're going to drop the loon in there, and you will see that the loon actually has a much kind of a cleaner look to the sound. So once more, we're going to go into waveform, and you can see that the actual waveforms are just a little bit cleaner, although they're still quite complex. So we're going to highlight again the whole thing and do a fairly simple reverb of it, and then later we're going to change that to a completely different animal. So once again, go into reverb, and we'll go to default, and we're not going to reverb quite as much this time. And just a semi-wet sound. Now again, I highly recommend that you try these out on your own. So let's first listen to it without applying the effect so you know what it sounds like. So we'll listen to what it sounds like with the effect applied. Beautiful sound, that. Switch to Premiere, and we're going to work on the Premiere timeline, but just on the audio portion. and we're going to work a little bit creatively with some of these sounds. So what I want to do is use the remix of the Loon and then along with the original Loon soundtrack, and we're going to make whale sounds out of it. So the first thing that we're going to do is take the original Loon and drop it on the soundtrack. And here you can listen to it. And we're not going to use the whole thing. And what I'm going to do is, let's first just make this an audio track, and then we can expand this a little bit so you can see what's going on. I'm going to take this and I'm going to reverse it and play it at 20% of the speed. And then I'm going to take the track with the reverb and add it to it. So you just have to highlight it again and Command R, and this comes up. So we want to reverse it and then go at 20%. And now you can listen to what it sounds like. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take the other Loon, just shrink this a little bit, the one with the reverb in it, and drop that on top. And we're going to give it the same treatment. We'll reverse it and then put it at 20% of the speed and then cut off the part that we don't want. And that would be right about here. And put this underneath, and then you can hear the two together as kind of a mixture. But what I want to do is just offset them very, very slightly, so we get a little bit of an echo in there on top of the echo. Now I'm going to take one more copy of this, Command C and then Command V, and I'm going to change the time signature just a little bit. I'm going to make it 19%, so it goes even a little bit slower. And I'm going to overlay that, or underlay it. And then you'll hear it, a progressive reverb through there. And again, we want to offset them just a little bit. Well, we'll keep that one there. And then listen to the whole thing. A little bit similar with the Sparrow, except I'm going to do a little bit of pitch variation in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Sparrow on the soundtrack. I'm going to stretch it out, and here you can listen to it. Okay, good. I'm going to cut most of it off. Again, here I'm going to raise this up and expand it a little bit. So we just have the first bit of chirps there. And I'm going to expand this by an enormous amount. First, I'm going to expand it. So Command R, 4%. And you can have a little bit of a listen to it. going to make a copy of this. So Command C and Command V. And I'm going to go into Effects, Audio Effects, Time and Pitch, and Pitch Shifter. And what I want to do is bump this one up more than an octave. And now you'll be able to hear it's a little bit different. Okay, and then I'm going to shift them together and then really expand it. And then just shift them over from each other. Move them just a tiny bit. Then we'll have a listen to the entire thing, and I particularly want you to pay attention to when it gets to here. And then if you shift it over a little bit more, you'll get a slightly different sound. And we'll go right to that spot. Okay, there we go. Okay, what we're going to do now is I've got the original basketball sound, and I've layered this up. And so I've got 4 different versions of the basketball. And what I'm just going to do is make each one a slightly different time signature. So again, Command R for one of them. I'll make that at 99. I'll leave that one at 100. I'll make this one 98. And I'm going to do this one at 102. So each one is a little bit different, and then you'll be able to hear what happens when you just offset a whole number of sounds. And it sounds a little bit like popcorn popping. Okay, and with this one you could do a lot more experimenting with these sounds. Try changing them by different amounts.